One of the things my research shows is that we've been thinking about questions about security, about AI, about our lives with technology for a good 3,000 years.
We're at the beginning of a new wave of research.
As long as we've been writing stories down, we've been telling stories about our lives with tech, with AI, with robots, with autonomous vehicles. We are connected as social animals to all the technology around us. And so those of us who work in sociotechnical research are really emphasizing that connection, that technology isn't separate from society and from people. It's part of our everyday lived experience.
Electronic data processing has suddenly appeared as a new helper for the businessman.
Sociotechnology can seem like a difficult term, but really it just means the interactions that humans have with technology. So the Arts and Humanities have studied what it means to be human for millennia, and so we speak very much to the socio side of sociotechnical. But actually, I think that the arts and humanities are also essential for the technical, because without understanding how technology is developed from a human perspective, we're never going to develop technologies that actually work in a socio-technical way, and that is precisely what we're aiming for.
I'm the new director of RISCS. That's the Research Institute for Sociotechnical Cybersecurity. It might seem unusual for a professor of classics to be heading up a research institute like this, but I've been working in cybersecurity for the last sort of 4 years or so, and there are lots of people from the arts and humanities working in this space. I think it's really an obvious connection to make. It's the sort of research that we do in RISCS that helps to flag the fact that those who are issuing guidance from the government, the National Centre for Cybersecurity, need simple human-sized solutions in cybersecurity. Things need to be easy if people are going to put them into practice. One of the examples I really like is, it seems so obvious that the longer and more complicated your password is going to be, the more likely you are to write it down, making your password security there invalid.
The more we spend our lives in these online and virtual worlds, it's essential to keep those spaces safe and secure in ways that we are more familiar with in a non-virtual space.
So in the Homeric Epics, 3,000 years old, we have autonomous vehicles, we have robots and AI living in people's houses. I say people, mostly gods and the elite. But what's really fascinating about these stories is that people are anxious about what this technology might ultimately do to harm them. And one of the things that my research is interested in is that question, why is it that those AI in the ancient world were female? Why were they treated as domestic servants? And why is it that in the 21st century in our homes we have Alexa, we have Siri? Why are these supportive AI systems also gendered and gendered feminine? We used to think that people were the problem, that people were the weakest link in cybersecurity. What we're discovering and really championing through the work with RISCS is that people are the heroes.
So the big differences that this research could make is fundamentally understanding how people engage with immersive technologies and then how to protect them in that space from a cybersecurity perspective, but also how they potentially learn in those spaces.
Specifically in cybersecurity, at times we can get hung up on the technical solutions. Of equal importance is understanding how people interact and behave, how people think or learn or engage with this technology. Because without that human behaviour element, the technology doesn't go anywhere.
You might not think about it when you go online, when you buy something online, when you log into your email, but all of these activities have cybersecurity implications. What RISCS is doing is thinking about the human factors involved in those activities. We'll know we've moved the dial on this when researchers in cybersecurity, when the engineers, the software developers aren't just thinking about tech-based solutions only. They're thinking about how technology, our society and people work together to keep us all safe online.